Well, hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and ooh, we're kicking it old school today. You may be wondering why I'm back in the chair as normal, and that is because the last few days I've had the flu. Not been a fun time. Not been a fun time. I haven't had the flu in long enough to where my flu medicine was expired. So I looked at it, it was from like 2021. I was like, that checks. So yeah, I haven't had the flu in forever, but I had it the last couple days and it sucked. And so I'm a bit behind on recordings, and I know what you'll say. You'll be like, Romania, take your time, whatever. But I have been jonesing to watch something these last few days. I'm like, I have to watch something or I will go insane because I've literally watched nothing. I've just sat in bed and slept. So I'm feeling about 85, maybe, I would say, I'm not going to say 6, 7, but I was going to say I'm feeling about 85% back to normal. And so I thought, well, you know what? I really want to see episode 3 before I go on my first trip of the month. So let's dive into it. So I've got some comments. I've got some notes on the dub from episode 2, and then we are going to hustle our way into episode 3 of Steins Gate Zero and see what we're going to get. But I want to make a quick note. We're on episode 3 now. Back in episode 1, I noticed when I was rewatching, we saw Moika in episode 1 and never again. That does not bode well to Romania. So just put that on everybody's radar. We haven't seen her in a hot second. What are we supposed to do with that? So I don't know. Kulo Bumbo for episode 1 says, Hikoboshi is the name of the star Altair, but it's also the name of a character from a famous children's story in Japan. If you want to look more into it, it's the story behind the Tanabata Festival. It would be interesting to see you read it in the next episode of Steins Gate. So we have Hikoboshi of the Tanabata Festival. Let's look that up really quick. I know the story of Orihime and that. Is this what this is, basically? Yeah, Orihime and Hikoboshi. We've talked about this in another series recently, which is funny that this has come up. But yeah, the Milky Way that separates the lovers, they can only meet once a year. Look, I watched Bleach back in the day, and as someone who loved Orihime, I knew the legends. I knew the lore. So, because I was connecting her and Ichigo all the time. So, yes, I was an Ichihime fan. So sue me. So, Ruki Renji for life. But yeah, I do know the story about this, so that's interesting. That kind of would check with Kurisu and Okabe with the Milky Way lovers, that they're only destined to meet once a year. Sure, yeah, we'll go with that. All right, but good that we're getting that mentioned in Steins Gate. Why not? And then Geo Knowledge for episode 2 says, it is also good to note that an epigraph can also mean, quote, a short quotation or saying at the beginning of a book or chapter intended to suggest its theme. Nice, okay. Well, if episode 2 is setting up the entire series, mission accomplished, because I think it does that. Now, thank you all so much for the comments. When I went back and watched the dub for episode 2, Alexis, whenever Okabe does his objection at the beginning of the episode, Alexis does this little wink at him, and I'm like, man is down for Okarin. And he tries to pass it off as he's not, but I'm like, every other indication is like, yeah, no, he totally is. You cannot convince me that he's not. When Alexis shows up in between Maho and Okarin's conversation at the bar, he's like, oh, you guys are having a lover's quarrel? I'm like, sure, Jan. Sure, Jan. Y'all, English dub trying to knock out this possible side plot. Do not think that we are fooled. I will say, during the conversation between Okabe and Maho, especially when Maho starts to cry, J. Michael Tatum, his voice acting, the softness that he has, and Maho's voice actress, she's amazing. Love her. She delivers, she's exactly what I pictured the English dub for Maho sounding like. She's doing a fantastic job as well. Also, unrelated, but there is a shot of a KFC at the 11-minute mark. Why there are so many KFC references on my channel right now, the stars are aligning, I don't know, but this is at least the second one in the last week, so that's something. But yeah, it's right about the 11-minute mark. The dub also did help explain when Okarin says, where's the professor, when they show up at the Brain Science Institute, That made me think the professor they're talking about is Alexis. I was a little confused when I watched the original sub, but now it seems to make more sense. Also, Okabe flirting with Maho is so natural in this. He was never this smooth in Steins Gate. Never this smooth. I mean, I know it's only been a couple months, y'all. He's growing up so fast. What? This man, why is he getting moves now? It's like late puberty hit this man. And then I love Maho whenever AI Kurisu Amadeus is suggesting that Maho likes Okabe. She's like, I'll upload a virus. Like that line was just really good. Loved it. Alexis shows up and he says konnichiwa to Okabe because he's just trying to relate to Japanese culture. And J. Michael Tatum saying, what up, dog? There's so much 2010s cringe in that statement. Bless him. Bless him. I was just like, oh man, I felt the secondhand embarrassment in that moment. But by the end of the episode, if it wasn't apparent in the Japanese sub, Okarin is down so hard. He has already fallen so hard for Kurisu. It is crazy. And I'm like, oh, buddy. I'm kind of like Mayuri. This does not bode well for the future. So I guess we'll find out. But I really appreciate everybody's support. You all are amazing. Thank you so much. Before I get started, real quick, I want to go ahead and thank our philanthropy team. Philanthropy tier members on Patreon, and everybody on Patreon, thank you so much for your support. But to Alex Cornejo, Alexander Q, Be Happy, Dana, Damage3245, as well as Daniel, Devorin, Destiny Marie, Diana Williams, Ichu, Eric, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, James, Elfreya, Lou Genesis, Lyndon, Murphy, Rast, Rose Jennison, Sunspots, Translucent Men, Shimoyama, Zero Anti-Zero, Nicholas, Sean, and Jason N. Thank you all so much for your support, and to everyone on Patreon, I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. And if you can't join me on Patreon, I understand, but do some due diligence to help out a fellow content creator. Like the video, subscribe to my channel so you can see Steins Gate Zero on Saturdays, and then also comment down below to let me know what you thought about the reaction and the discussion. I love to hear from you. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm excited. I have waited at least a week, more than that now, as I was going to watch this earlier in the week, but girl was sick. So I'm ready to get this party started and find out what Amadeus has in store for our lads. At this moment, I'm still not watching the OP or ED. I know that I will probably be able to soon, but for now, we're going to skip it for now. It will happen. Trust and believe. But we are going to start episode 3 of Steins Gate Zero, and we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do it to it, Lars. Well, I'm a little bit concerned. One thing I'm really glad about, we're not doing Whiteboard Coon this episode. Whiteboard Coon is taking a break as well this week. But one thing I am really glad about is the fact that Maho is not beating around the bush. And Maho is like, dude, what did I tell you? She's not Makise Kurisu, and Okarin is having a really hard time adjusting with that, right? Okarin's having a really hard time with that, which we're going to talk about in this episode. But I'm glad that Maho, I feel like in this series, she is going to be an anchor for him to be like, whenever he starts to go off the rails, she's like, hey, let's get back into it. This is not Kurisu. Come back this way, Okarin. Come on. And I really hope that Maho and Mayuri become friends, because I think that is going to be needed, because I felt really bad for Mayuri. I think Mayuri is a complicated web of emotions right now, right? And we're going to talk about why, because I think that there's some interesting stuff going on with Mayuri and all of this that we need to touch base on. And there's some mystery going on. There's actually a lot in this episode. Maybe not stuff for Whiteboard Coon necessarily, but there's a lot that we need to focus on in this episode. So before we dive into the screenshots, there is one thing. I did look up the two-sided gospel. I wanted to look that up and talk with you all about it. The X-Day protocol. I don't know what X-Day protocol is. unless X is referring to 10-day protocol, like how many days has it been since Okarin has had Amadeus in his access? Has it been 10 days? If it's around, when was the conference? I think it was December 10th. So it's been maybe about 15 days. So maybe the X day protocol refers to either 10 days after he first got Amadeus, and that's where we are now, or maybe it is referring to just like X day, as in like D-Day, Day of Reckoning sort of protocol. I don't know. But the two-sided gospel, I actually looked it up. There's a sermons website that talks about it, saying on monetary coins here in the US, we have two sides to a coin. On one side, it usually has a building, or maybe if you have someone of state quarters, something about the state celebrating. On the other side, it has what on it? A head. Now, if I were to give you a coin that has two heads, what would be your reaction? Would you use it to try to buy something? And if not, why not? I make this illustration because I have titled this sermon, The Gospel's Two-Sided Coin, and the text has two sides that are necessary to our understanding of living in proclamation with the gospel. Now, this is from a Christian perspective, just FYI. If we are missing one side, the coin is not legitimate. There should be no division here in regards to the gospel. So I think that's interesting, that you can't have a coin without two sides. It doesn't have a meaning if it doesn't have two sides. Everything has to have an extra side to it. So this website is saying that one side is to repent and believe, which I think that whole idea of repenting might come into play with Okarin, like accepting that. I feel like repent and believe on the one hand is Okarin finding Amadeus as a way for him to connect back to Kurisu and believe that she still exists. Like on the one hand, he is finding Amadeus as a way for him to repent for his sin of causing her death and accepting she's actually here when she's really not, and convincing himself that everything's going to be okay. I can communicate with Kurisu and her death is inconsequential. And it's not really that he believes that, but as he keeps getting more and more hooked onto Amadeus, you start to wonder that with his character. But then the other side of the coin is to leave and follow, which the leave and follow side of it could refer to, like Maho saying, you need to just leave behind the idea that she's alive. It is not true. And instead move forward and do what you need to do to get past that, and follow whatever your gut feeling is, follow whatever your intuition is, follow whatever, if you want to follow me and the scientist, if you want to follow whatever, if you want to follow Suzuha, do whatever, but you have to leave behind the notion of the past and move forward into the future. So that's one way to view it. The other side of it, with the two-sided gospel, I think it's the same thing, the two sides of the coin, the two sides of the gospel coin, in that. Now, another way of looking at it is saying that the Holy Spirit is in you and that you are within you, the Holy Spirit. So I'm not going to get too crazy on the religious side of it, but I think it's fascinating, those two angles of it, especially in regards to this episode. And then this other one, Ashley Alliance says the gospel is a double-edged sword. That on the one hand, it talks about... On the one hand, it talks about that there's a penalty for lying to the spirit. Interesting. And the penalty shows the reality of the human heart. So yeah, I mean, Okarin is lying to himself in trying to convince himself that Kurisu is still there. But in reality, it really shows how he loved her so much that he would give up anything to have her back. But he knows the consequences of trying to go back and save her. And he doesn't want to go through that again. So interesting. Fascinating, right? Fascinating. So let's get started here and look at this, look through this episode. I'll get the screenshots up here so you can all see them beside me here in 3, 2, 1. As we start out planning for a Christmas party. I can't believe we're finally meeting all of these girls. Fubuki, Kaide, and Yuki's here too. Fubuki and Kaide were mentioned all throughout Steins Gate, to the point where I was conspiring to think that they were actually going to be like hidden bad guys, right? I was conspiring thinking like they're going to be hidden bad guys and all this. No, they're just Mayuri's friends. But I can't believe we're finally actually getting to see them in this show. I'm like, huzzah, awesome. So yeah, and I really like Fubuki. I like Fubuki's style a lot. She reminds me of Akane from Psycho-Pass. And also Kaede looks adorable as well. I think Kaede works at the Maid Cafe as well. But yeah, so Mayuri's like, I'm going to make all these Christmas costumes. It's going to be adorable. And they're like, well, Fubuki's excited. And they're like, what about you? Are you going to wear a costume as well? And it would be such a waste if she didn't. And then Yuki tries to be a matchmaker here and says, I bet Okabe wants to see Mayuri in a Santa costume as well. And Mayuri's like, no, we're not boyfriends. She's like, we're not like that. And I feel bad for Mayuri because do I think that Mayuri has romantic feelings for Okarin? No. But I think the problem is that I think Mayuri knows that Okarin likes someone, but she feels really sad that he doesn't want her to meet the person that he's dating, which is understandable. They're best friends. They've been childhood friends forever. And so for Okarin to not, because I mean, if you go back and look at the original Steins Gate, Mayuri was all about Okarin being with Kurisu. She gave them their blessing. She was like, yes, absolutely. Like, she was all about it. Like, she loved Kurisu. She loved the two of them together. She thought it was fantastic. Like, Mayuri has no intent of being romantically in a relationship with Okarin, but I don't blame her for feeling really upset that Okarin doesn't want to tell her about this girl he's seeing. Because then Mayuri's like, well, why don't you want to tell me about her? Is there something wrong? Does she not like me? Am I not good enough to know about this friend? Or why can't you tell me? Like, what's going on? Like, Mayuri's really sad about this. And I think she's also sad about the fact that Okarin's lying to her about it. Because she's like, if we're such good friends, why are you lying? Why are you hiding this from me? What's going on? So she feels really hurt by his actions. And I just want to like grab Okarin and shake him because I'm like, you went through all this trouble to save Mayuri. Why you messing this up? Sir. If you've ever seen the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, go watch it sometime. It has Scarlett Johansson and Joaquin Phoenix. When did that movie come out? Because the whole situation with Okarin and Amadeus is literally that. Okay, 2013. So yeah, oh God, has it been 15? Has it really been 13 years since that movie came out? That's insane. I feel old. I feel very old. But yeah, no, this movie came out in 2013. Before this series, I have no doubt in my mind that this series is somewhat influenced by Her. No doubt in my mind. There's too much similarities. I feel like it's definitely influenced. Because, yeah, go watch that movie if you've not seen it, and you'll be like, oh, wow, that's very similar to what's going on. Spoiler alert, that movie doesn't end on Sunshine and Roses. Just saying. So, yeah, she's like, Okarin has already somebody that he likes, and they're all like, really? And she's like, yeah, we get along so well because we're childhood friends. And then we have the OP, which I'll be able to watch at some point. So, I find it interesting that the credits only have the X-Day Protocol. They don't have the two-sided gospel. Curious indeed. Anyway, so Okarin is head over heels for the Amadeus system. I mean, she keeps calling him and he keeps answering. And the crazy thing is, she keeps calling him because he's fresh meat. He's fresh data pool, fresh basis. Alexis and Maho were saying in the last episode how they were running out of things to talk to her about. So, of course, with this new person who has all these new insights that the AI is just chomping at the bit to get new information, she's, of course, calling him because he's a fresh supply of information. And Okarin is mistakenly confusing that AI's thirst for knowledge, just soak it up like a sponge. He's confusing that with her genuinely wanting to have a conversation with him, which is not what this is. The way that it's human-like makes it seem like it is, but at the end of the day, she's not human. She's an AI. So it's just, he's getting so wound up in all of this, and it's like, sir, you're getting too involved with all of this. Like she said, I made sure to check the class schedule on the website. Like her accessing just random information, right? He's like, I've got stuff I'm dealing with, okay? And she's like, well, You should at least come up with a good excuse ahead of time. I'm glad that AI is not like this right now. I'm glad that at least the AI online doesn't start having a conversation with you like that and pestering you like that. Nope. Glad that's not happening. No, because we don't need that. You can't even keep a single promise with me. And see, that's the thing. I'm glad that AI doesn't do this either, where it's like, where it remembers like things you've promised and been like, well, why haven't you done that? And That's creepy. I don't like that. And so he's like, well, I mean, the original me went there before. And he's like, yes. Well, which is it? You're so evasive. He's like, I've got to hang up. And then Mayuri asks him to help her carry things home for the Christmas party. So they're curious if Suzuha will come out. And Ferris is like, we'll get Suzuha to come. Don't you worry. And Mayuri's like, I just want Suzuha and Okarin to cheer up and get along together. And of course, we, the audience, know it's not so easy. I honestly think that Maho will get along with Mayuri. I think Maho will get along with Suzuha. I think Maho is going to get along with everybody. I am curious to see how that relationship is going to go, but we'll see. And then we get to this bridge. There were so many moments throughout this episode that I was like, we're taking Kurisu back across these specific places where her and Okarin have been. And it's so fascinating. Like, he takes her to the bridge that he and her have been around so often. And then even him holding her in the pocket like this is straight up Joaquin Phoenix from Her. He carries her around in the little, it's even a red phone. It's the same phone as her. He keeps her around in the pocket and like does all this. There are parts of Her that I'm like, I don't know if this show will go that route with Okarin and Kurisu. I don't think it will, but I think it might get close, and I'm concerned about that. We'll see. But yeah. And so yeah, he takes her around. Like we had the Ultraman, the limited edition collector set and all that. Now, he doesn't show her the radio building because that's where she was killed at, and he doesn't want her to see the spot where she died, which she's an AI. And she can't feel emotions like that. But again, showcasing to us, the audience, how Okarin is thinking. Now, Nai's little purse there with the little black bunny rabbit, it looks like the evil version of Lopmon from Digimon the movie. Am I to consider it correct that Ruka's outfit is based off of that purse? Is that purse a character that Ruka based their Christmas outfit off of? I think that I'm right. I think that that's what happened. So yeah. He's like, how times have changed. You're a legit college student now. And he's like, oh, keep it up, champ. She's like, how much of a slacker were you? And he's like, what? So they go up to the lab. I was a little nervous about this part because there's a part of me that thinks that Kurisu is going to, that the AI, I keep saying Kurisu because Amadeus feels wrong to say, right? But there's a part of me that's worried that Amadeus is going to see something in the lab and get curious about it. And because it has Kurisu's memories, we'll start to try and figure out things based on that. So I don't know what to think about that. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what we get with that. But yeah, she's like, it's full of junk. I like that she talks about how Maho's room is messy as well. And she's like, it looks more like it'll give Maho's room a run for its money. And he's like, should you be giving out private information like this? And she's like, say something to her about it. Tell that girl to go clean her room. Here's the thing, too, that is also crazy and wild about all of this. Okarin is believing in his mind that he is establishing a connection back with Kurisu. And he loved Kurisu, and Kurisu loved him. So there's kind of a delusional part of him that believes he can get this Kurisu, that he can confess he almost did it. He almost confessed that he loved Kurisu to Kurisu, which would have been logged in the annals for the record that Maho and Alexis could have seen. And then Maho would have been like, oh, nope, we've gone too far. At the same time as this is happening, Amadeus is trying to convince Maho to confess to Okarin. So Amadeus does not love Okarin back. She's just gathering information because it's Amadeus. It's an AI system. And at the same time, it's trying to convince Maho to confess that she likes Okarin. So I'm like, Okarin, this AI system is not going to do what you want it to. It's not going to fulfill what you need it to do. It's all null and void. And Maho has been trying to tell him that, but it's not going well. So yeah. Still, I always yearn for this, to share a room with people. That's the sad part, is that this AI system is based off of her memories. So when she says something like this, even though it's Amadeus talking, it is based on what she actually thought before she died. So there is like a little weird truth angle to it that you could understand why Okarin would be so enamored by Amadeus and would believe so much in this. But yeah. Is that your friend? He's like, oh, were you on a call? And he's like, don't worry about it. Yeah, see, like stuff like that. Like he doesn't want to tell Mayuri because it'll bring up all the stuff with Kurisu and it'll start possibly the whole, like the world lines going awry again. But he doesn't want to do that. And that's just creating further dissension. I also want to praise Mayuri's skills. Mayuri's skill set is crazy. Like, I cannot sew. Girl sewing, like, 1, 2. She sewed Nai's costume, her costume, Kaide's, Yuki's, Fubuki's, Ruka's. She had like 6 costumes. Ferris's. She had 7 costumes, and she made one for Maho. Like, I guess it was probably for Suzuha, and then Maho wore it. Like, 8 costumes in like how many days? Girl, the skill. Put this woman on Drag Race right now. Have her design things right now. That's impressive. I'm making them for Winter Komiya and for the Christmas party. Yep, everybody's coming. She's like, oh, well, Daru and Yuki are perfect for each other. I do love that. I agree. Glad this is all working out. And Fubuki's like, that's never happening. Well, joke's on you. Joke's on you. Hopefully it will happen. One thing that does bother me a little bit is the fact that so many people just know about this time machine. Like FELIZ just knowing that it exists. That bothers me just a hot second. I'm like, should more people know about the time machine? That worries me a little bit. Also, something that came out of this conversation. Well, before we get to that, so Suzuha is looking up at the time machine and then remembers this. So this green Upa, is this not the green Upa that Mayuri got out of the machine like early on in the last episode? I don't think it had that little leaf crown on it, so I don't know where the leaf crown came from. I don't think it had that, but also searching for this is your and my first mission. Okay. Oh, searching for this. So it's not the UPA, it's the IBN. Oh, I thought that it was looking for the green UPA because that's the one Mayuri had, but no. Searching for the IBN is yours and my first mission. What? What's going on? What is happening? Okie dokie. Huh. Yeah, good answer. Why does this child have hair like Kurisu? What is going on? My theory is that this is like an animatronic child that is like got Kurisu's likeness because it's like 30 years in the future and the technology has gotten so advanced. They just made a robot, an animatronic that looks like a child Kurisu. That's my thought. I could be wrong. But what? But why is she looking for the IBN? And how are they looking for the IBN together? Interesting. I'm gonna file that away for now. So yeah, also, damn, Suzuha was about to like wreck everybody's day. Was about to pull a gun on FELIZ, was tackling her mom in the room. Like, Suzuha is on edge. On edge indeed. Also, I will say, FELIZ's cat outfit has grown on me. I thought it was highly ridiculous at first. It has grown on me a lot. I think it is kind of cute. I will accept that. That is kind of adorable. But yeah, Big Sis Rumi. Oh, I think because Rumiha, isn't that her actual name? But interesting. She doesn't want to go by it. Curious. So yeah. So FELIZ lets out some pretty interesting information here. where she says that she gives her a little bento box and says that you can enjoy it or whatever. And she's like, how's the time machine research going? And she's like, well, you know, I'm sorry for all this trouble. And she says, well, FELIZ does nothing more than to rent out this floor and the one beneath it. So FELIZ, because her dad has left her all this wealth, FELIZ is paying the rent. That's interesting. So what does she do with the floor beneath it? Oh, this floor and the floor beneath it. Okay, so the rooftop and the floor beneath it? Interesting. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense because in the original Steins Gate series, we were struggling to pay some rent. So Daru was going to have to get a job. But I'm curious why. I guess they've talked FELIZ into paying the rent. That's interesting. I wonder what she's getting out of it. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, she's being nice, but that's an awful generous request, FELIZ. Curious. Curiouser and curiouser. She says, nothing more. I owe you so much it's not even funny. And she's like, oh, don't you worry. That's still interesting, though. She's paying all that. She's like, if it's what it takes to save the world's elementals from Byaki. Meow. So I guess that FELIZ, knowing that whatever she can do to help is going to help prevent World War III, she's like, okay. I mean, that does check out because FELIZ kind of goes along with a lot of Okarin's delusions. So I guess that makes sense, but that's still very generous to pay the rent for 2 floors just because you got money, girl. I mean, do what you want with it, but they're really lucky. Okay. And she's like, all right, we've got to get Okarin back to the entrance of Steins Gate. I mean, the whole goal is to go back to episode 23 of Steins Gate and redo things and lead into episode 24. That's the goal, but that's what this whole series is about, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. We all know that. So, yeah. So, they decide to go wreck the Christmas party. Alexis is trying to be a matchmaker. He is trying to hook them up, which is so interesting to me because he simultaneously flirts with Okarin and with Ruka. We'll get to that. But he's like, why don't you dress up as Santa and invite him somewhere? And Maho's like, why would I do that? And he's like, well, in this country, if you don't have plans on the 24th, you don't have a lover. I forget that in Japan, Christmas is more of a romantic holiday than a spiritual holiday because like a very small population in Japan are Christian. So interesting. It's more of just like a formality, recreational holiday. And she's like, meaning, I like how it says Lentalo instead of Rentaro. Meaning Rentaro most likely has known. She's like, why does it always come down to this? She's like, why are you trying to hook me up with people? Stop it. That's all you and her ever talk about. He's like, yes, it's exciting for me. Alexis is just a nosy body. Alexis just wants to get in everybody's business all the time. Aren't you curious to find out what sort of relationship that develops between Amadeus and Rentaro? And she's like, no. She's like, I already have an idea of what's going to happen in that relationship, and it's not going to be pretty. The system operates using memories, which means it's remarkably secure. And that's not what bothers me. So we find out that Okarin's family runs a grocery store. Had no clue. I'm like, did they run the grocery store that he's been getting groceries from, like, all throughout Steins Gate? Is that the case? Is that also maybe why? Because I always wondered, I'm like, how are they buying all these groceries? But if his family's helping to pay the grocery bill, maybe, that's so crazy. And if the grocery store's not that far, are we going to see his family anytime soon? Maybe. So yeah. So the video chat from Amadeus, he gets back on that. And he starts laughing with her. Yeah, okay. So then Maho's looking. I'm going to tell y'all right now. I don't know if you can see this. All of those folders and all of those papers just on her screen in no distinct order gives me so much anxiety. I'm like, girl, you can't order that in a line. You can't put those in just single files, like just in rows. That's like when you find out people's email inboxes have like 2,971 emails they've never touched. And I'm like, how? I'm just like, oh my God, cannot do it. So what she's been researching is displacement behavior, finding yourself after the loss of a loved one. Why does displacement occur? An approach to coping. So she's looking up, we're going to find it here, displacement behavior. I don't want to look up displacement behavior in dogs, but an overview. Okay. Displacement behavior. Come on now. From Science Direct. So I will view this as a credible source. It refers to an out-of-context actions exhibited by an individual under stress, such as grooming, scratching, yawning, lip-licking, and other activities that do not directly relate to the current environment or situation. Interesting. Okay, interesting. A lot of this also does with, like, dogs, so that's curious. Like, a lot of this has to do with dogs. That's interesting. The APA Dictionary of Psychology says displacement behavior, a behavior in which an individual substitutes one type of action for another when the first action is unsuccessful, or when two competing motivations are present that lead to incompatible actions. A goal at a territory boundary may direct attack-like actions towards the ground rather than its rival due to simultaneous aggressive and fearful responses to the opponent. Oh, a laboratory animal that is frustrated by serving of food that are small and delivered slowly may express displacement behavior by drinking instead of eating. Wow, okay, so I'm wondering if she's trying to look up, like, what Okarin is doing as a sign of displacement behavior, and that she's worried that this is getting a little too far with Amadeus. Because he is, like, he's starting to develop these habits where he answers her all the time. He's showing her around town, even though it's just an AI system. He's answering the calls. He's starting to, like, neglect the social activities with his close friends, and even, like, the group dates. Because when she said that she listened in on the group dates, and she's like, your one-liner's really lame. And he's like, oh my gosh. She's like, you even left before the Truth or Dare activities. So he didn't even stick around anymore. So, like, he's starting to neglect all the things he had built up doing in episode 1 in favor of talking to her. Also, when she was like, hey, man, I know, you could just get me hooked up to that helicopter and I can fly around. I'm like, no, Terminator, no T-19000. We're not going to hook you up, Amadeus, to anything that moves. That's a terrifying concept. Nope. So, and I think that's where this is all heading somehow. Somehow or another, I get a bad idea that World War III is connected to Amadeus, and I don't like it. So, we're just going to have to see. She's like, why are you so vocal with me when you could hardly pipe up at your group date? And he's like, what? You forgot to close the app. It was hard not to crack up listening. Who runs away when the dating games start? Yeah. Like, I would be horrified if this AI that was the appearance of my dead girlfriend was listening in to my group dates of me trying to socialize. Like, poor Okarin. When we met Hiajo-san, the professor, will you be giving them your logs? And she's like, yes, I will. I cannot forget because I'm an imperfect AI. Poor Okarin. I'm like, be careful that you don't say I love you to this AI because Maho's going to kick your ass. Also, just saying, she says, I like how your family sells veggies, but you hate eggplants. This is Gutter Mind Romania, but we all know that Okarin is one of our most heterosexually coded main characters. The fact that he hates eggplants leads to such theories. Just saying. Although Alexis is down. Alexis is so down. And how you called me Christina the first time we met. I like that the AI is kind of obsessed with finding out why he calls her Christina. And it seems like something an AI would want to know. Like, why this? Why are you saying that? What's the purpose behind it? What's the point? And he can't really give her, like, a full-on answer. And she's like, but why not? And so finally, when they're on the rooftop, he explains the reason why. And she talks about how human memories are vague. As time goes on, new one pours in and all mixes together. Again, getting to deja vu. Also, the scene of them on the stairs. We've been on those stairs before. We've been at those stairs before in Steins Gate. So, going back to these places. Meaning, unfortunately, Amadeus is an incomplete AI. That vagueness is lost. In other words, I cannot forget. But didn't the Amadeus shown throughout the presentation forget things? And then Kurisu, as Amadeus says, well, that's because some things remain inaccessible. So it wasn't able to be patched through. It's all in a log somewhere. Well, curiosity killed the cat, you know. So then I love Alexis trying to flag him down, and Maho's like, I hate every second of this. She's like, I hate my life. Why? And then Alexis is like, well, we were loyal. What are you doing in a place like this? What do you think of Kurisu? And he's like, well, it's strange. I know she's an AI, but it's if. And Maho is not happy because Maho is like, what did I tell you? What did I just tell you? And you're neglecting everything, sir. You're not listening to anything. He's like, well, I was planning to check out the data at the university after this, but... And then the Amadeus system is like, senpai, this is your big chance. And Alexis says, are you free tonight? If you'd like, you're more than welcome to join us for dinner. And so he's like, you got to try to get him before. See, here's the thing. Okarin has no idea that Amadeus is trying to hook Maho up with him. And instead, he's trying to hook himself up with Amadeus, which is not possible. Because, again, she's an AI system. So, and he's like, oh, tonight. He's like, oh, well, sorry. He's like, I've already promised a friend I would go to their Christmas party. And then, oh, no, Maho's like, hell no. And Alexis is like, a Christmas party? Alexis is like, I am so happy to invite myself to your party. I would like to say that not all Americans are like that, but... Well, I don't even know if Alexis is American. I thought maybe he was German, but probably not. His name sounded German. So then Suza's like, I got a bad feeling about this. One thing that is worth noting is that Suzaha did not have a bad reaction to Alexis or Maho, which makes me feel better, which makes me feel like either she didn't know them, which is slightly disturbing and curious, or she does not remember them as being anything harmful. I don't like the fact that she doesn't seem to remember them, though, because that means they're not in the future. And I don't like the fact that Maho's not in the future. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I don't know what we're supposed to do with that. But that does make me feel a little bit curious. I don't want anything bad to happen to Alexis or Maho, to be honest. And then, of course, Alexis is like, what a lovely lab, Lintalo. Thank you for inviting us. Japanese maid girl or cat girl. I was like, oh my God. I do love how they decorated the entire lab. It looks adorable. Also, though, damn, what is this? Mean Girls? Yuki. We're going to talk about that outfit for a hot second. I mean, Mayuri, were you making that outfit just because you knew Dara was going to be there? So we talk on the phone. They're Hyajo-san, and they help me out at the university. I love that Maho's so embarrassed to be intruding on the party. You can tell that Maho is not a very social person. She's kind of introverted, which I really respect about her, because even though she's introverted, she gets in the party mood and celebrates with the others and becomes social with them pretty easily. Also, Alexis being like, well, Rentaro said we could come, so it's all good. He does the Lucille Bluth wink from Arrested Development where he's like, should be good, Maho. Oh my God. So yeah, so everyone looks adorable. Mayuri did so good on the dresses. I mean, I want to talk about these outfits. Mayuri's is so cute. Classic Mrs. Claus outfit. Yuki, Daru will be impressed and happy to see this. Also, can we talk about Ruka? Ruka with the black little lop bunny and then the black gothic vest and then short denim short shorts. I'm impressed. I love the fashion. I love it. Yuki's and Kaide's and Fubuki's look really cute too. So yeah. And then I like that Nai's what grade are you in? And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I'm a grown-up despite my 4'11" stature. And then Nai's like, oh, okay. And then Alexis is like, damn, this place is like a regular harem in here, right? Your lab is so merry and full of beautiful girls. And then he says, in fact, the one over there is astoundingly sexy. I want to make note of this. I want to make note of this for you all to see. I'm going to slow it down so you all can witness as well. Yep. He says, the one over there is astoundingly sexy. And Okarin's like, but he's a dude. There was no response. There was no, oh, or my bad, or, There was no response. I don't think Alexis cares, Okarin. I don't think that's deterring Alexis one bit, if I'm being honest. I don't think that's deterring him at all. So yeah, damn these juicy #1 chicken tenders, though. A special size just for Christmas. This is from the KFC. And Daru is on that mission to get her as we speak. So yeah, I hope he can trick her into coming. She wouldn't come if she knew it was a party, so we had to trick her. This is really cute though, like the cake and everything, all that. Also the little Oopa. Love that. So the line messages, those are super cute. But yeah, everybody's outfits are adorable. And they all get the party poppers. Of course, Suzuha's in like attack mode, thinking that something bad's going to happen. I wonder why she did. I wonder why she thought something bad was going to happen. Is it because the lights were out and she got suspicious of something? Very curious. Very curious. But I don't know why else she would have. Also, I'm glad that they were like, Suzuha, it's only a party. And she's like, oh God. I like Suzuha's like, old habits die hard. And yeah, and then Okarin asks her to stay. Although the lab does look really adorable, including the Christmas tree. That's really sweet. But yeah, they threw this party to try and cheer you up. And then Okarin asks her to stay. And maybe Suzuha's like, you know what, if I stay, are you going to be more convinced to go back in the past with me? Maybe. And Maho, you can tell Maho's kind of like, am I missing something? Is something going on? Is something happening that I don't know about? I can tell Maho probably senses that there's some kind of like tension there, but it's not her place to pry. So they decide, her parents basically ask her to stay and eat food, and she's like, who am I to say no? And then everybody has a toast. It's super cute. Maho is hanging out with Ferris and Mayuri, which is really sweet. Alexis and Okarin are talking. Everything's going really well. And then I love this Shire. I love that Yuki and Suzuha are together, and Maho is like next to Ferris as they're doing karaoke. Maybe Ferris is trying to get Maho to do karaoke next. Like, it's all really cute and wholesome. I love it. Them damn juicy #1 chicken tenders. They're eager that you know about that. But then as they're about to start the present exchange, Okarin gets the call from Amadeus. And look, by all accounts, Okarin should just turn it off. Because it's just Amadeus. It's not Kurisu. She's dead. Like, he just needs to turn off the AI, put it away, and then just enjoyed this. It's so crazy how he has so quickly become addicted to the AI. Like, so quickly become addicted to it. And we know right now in our time, like 8 years later from when this was published, how much AI psychosis has started to set in with some people in our own society. And so to see it like happening 8 years ago in this story is kind of creepy and like just sort of bizarre and almost prophetic, because he's literally having psychosis with this AI thinking it's Kurisu, and he's missing out on all of these real-time experiences with these people. Like, that was the whole point, was to forget about her and to move forward with these people. It's the two-sided gospel. Like, the whole point was to leave and then follow forward. That was the whole thing, but that's not what he's doing. Instead, he's going out. And Mayuri notices that he's gone, and Maho notices that he's gone. Yep. And so he goes up to the rooftop and has the conversation with Kurisu to ask him, like, why he called her Christina. And so meanwhile, this is so cute. They basically give her an outfit that looks just like Yuki's. I'm assuming that she originally made it for Suzuha to wear, and Suzuha was like, hell no. But also it seems like it's too loose. Like, the top part's not fitting onto Maho, and she's like, what the hell? Also, she made one for Nai. Seriously, Mayuri, what you been doing on the sewing machine? Do you sleep? She's like, I'm totally against this. And Alexis is like, we have to take pictures for posterity. Love that. Love that. So, like, they're so cute. Of course, Dara was like, all's well in the world. Of course he would say that. So, yeah. So, Kaide's like, Okarin sure is late. And Mayuri goes up to check him. And she's like, give me an answer already. I want to know why. Because I was embarrassed. I couldn't say it normally, so I teased you. And so I like that. What is interesting about this is that it is giving Okarin a way to kind of like sort of in a way he can grieve through this by saying like he can tell this AI like things that he couldn't tell the actual Kurisu. Like he called her Christina because he couldn't say her name properly. So when he first met her, so he said Christina instead. And on the one hand, there is something good about that healing of being able to finally get that out of your system. But on the other hand, he's also letting this AI really control an aspect of his life that it should not be. And the sad part is he's having this conversation with her and Mayuri is hearing it and she gets kind of like sad because she's like, well, why can't I be a part of this? Why are you too embarrassed to tell me about your friend? Am I doing something wrong? So I feel bad for Mayuri because she feels like there's a reason he can't talk to her and it's making her sad. And then she like waits till Mayuri goes back. And that's when she goes up. She's like, why are you turning all red? Oh, I'm not turning red. And that's when Maho's like, oh, hell no. Didn't we just talk about this? Treating me like a girl or something. Yeah. And he's like, this AI is acting like a 17-year-old girl. You have to remember that. But it's still just an AI at the end of the day. And he's like, that's the part of you. He was going to say that's the part of you that I loved. And then before he can say it, that's when Maho swipes it away. And she's like, hey. She's like, nope. She's like, Hyojo-san, what are you doing? She's like, I thought we had this conversation. I thought we talked about this. I thought this was clear. Make no mistake. This is Amadeus. It is not Kurisu. Makise Kurisu is dead. And here's something that adds a whole nother layer to all of it. And that is the fact that Maho was at her funeral. Maho saw her corpse in the casket, if that was the case. Or even if it wasn't corpse in the casket, because in Japan they cremate a lot and then you just see whatever. But she was at the funeral. So she knows girl is dead. She went to the funeral, everything. I feel like Okarin not being at that is also part of a layer that is missing from his side of it, because Maho has that justification. She's like, I was there. I went to the funeral. I saw people mourning. I mourned. I cried. I know she's dead. And this is just AI because I developed it. She's like, you were not at those events and you are convincing yourself that this AI is her. And that is not the case. And so I'm glad Maho is there to ground him. But also, damn, that's so sad. Right? So sad. She's not here anymore. And of course, Okarin has like a collapse and she's like, hey, yeah. Like, and so what are the images that he sees? He starts to have like his reading Steiner acting up. And I'm like, I thought we established, because we didn't go back and change anything, that this wasn't going to happen. But he starts to have the same hallucinations that he did before. Which, you know what? He was having the same hallucinations in the movie. So maybe this was just an action. Okay, so yeah. Mayuri being dead, and then Moika being there, seeing the same thing with Braun, of him killing himself, the whole stuff with Ruka confessing to him, yep, and then Feyris seeing her dad die, and then, oh yeah, the time machine crashing, yep, and Mayuri, and Maho's like, what am I missing? What's going on? And then the episode ends with Okarin having a very justifiable freak out. Because, like, his psychosis is completely frazzled. I feel like Maho needs to be given the heads up about what all went on and to move forward. But I don't know if Okarin will do that or not. I'm not sure if that will happen. So there's that. Yeah. So this episode, it's fine. Everything's fine. No, I feel like Maho needs to know what's going on like sooner rather than later, especially with Amadeus involved. But I don't know. And Amadeus, again, is very much obsessed. Here's the thing. AI is dangerous. AI is freaky dangerous. Because if you all have seen any of the articles that I've seen, like AI soaks things up like a damn sponge and then it gets real greedy. And like the pipeline from everything is cool to let's destroy everything. It's not very far with AI. So I worry that this damn AI is going to find out some stuff that it's not going to bode well. Not going to bode well. No, in the future. I feel like this could get easily out of hand. But, I mean, right now it's just Okarin who is obsessed with her. But I feel like if she gets tampered with by other entities, it could get out of hand very quickly. And that does not bode well at all. So, anyway, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below about this episode. Please no spoilers, hints or clues, but sorry I'm not like 100% for this. Hopefully I will be by episode 4. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Steins Gate 0.